and welcome to Otaku No Video. I'm here with a review of Pluto Volume 1. This is a manga by Naoki Urasawa, and it's quite an interesting little thing, as I'll explain, because the whole setup of this was that Urasawa approached the son of Osamu Tezuka, creator of Astro Boy and many other things, approached him in 2003 and basically said, I love this one Astro Boy story, and I want to do a remake of it in manga. Would you let me do that? And Tezuka's son was intrigued and said, okay, go ahead and do it. So Urasawa wrote and drew this 8-volume retelling of an Astro Boy story. But Urasawa is the maker of Monster, 20th Century Boys, Master Keaton, a number of very well-respected manga that's aimed at an older crowd, older teens, young adults. He's more of a seinen mangaka. So he takes this Astro Boy story, which is originally, it's a detective story, but it's a little bit more of a rock'em sock'em robots, Astro Boy story, and he turns it into more of a psychological thriller detective story, as is his wont. So the basic premise, and as with any of my reviews, no spoilers here, I'm just going to sort of explain the setup. It's set a few decades in the future, arguably. Robots are everywhere. Not only are they practical, the most recent models are indistinguishable from a human physically. And this creates all sorts of issues. There are laws in place to give robots certain rights, but someone or something has started killing the most powerful robots, these 7 robots that are considered the most powerful. They were involved in a recent war, kind of the heroes of this recent Asian war. And so there are these military-grade, very destructive robots that have, they're no longer in any sort of combat, but they're still around, and something's coming after them. The main character is this very advanced detective robot called Gesit. And he has this very low-key personality, very, very simple and droll, and he started to have dreams. Now, in this world, robots can have dreams, but he's having some kind of weird ones. So, lots of stuff going on with him. The artwork is, as typical with Urasawa, more realistic, and I'm just going to throw up some pages here to give you a feel for what they look like. As you can see, it's definitely more of a more realistic, definitely not Tezuka-style artwork, which is awesome. And what I like about that is it makes it almost instantly involving, because the characters have some detail to their face, not too much, but enough to really give them some personality and make you really get interested in those characters. And because he draws it, everyone in this more realistic style. Folks aren't, rocketing off into space on every other page. So the overall story of just this one volume, again, just sort of premise setup, is that one robot's been targeted, and we establish the main character, Gesit, and just sort of what he's doing and his own unique problems. Then the second half of the volume concerns one of the other 7 robots, who is a bodyguard for a composer. And it tells this essentially one-shot, self-contained story about this robot and the person he's guarding and their relationship, and how that sort of changes. So the advantage there is not only do you get the setup of the overall story, you get this nice, complete little story in this first volume. Gesit himself is an enigma, and very, very understandably for the first volume of 8, we're just kind of establishing who he is. He's definitely a robot, but he's filling this very human role in society. He's interviewing people. He's going over evidence. He's trying to understand motive. A lot for a robot to do. And he keeps having these dreams. So a lot to him, which is quite interesting. Dialogue is top-notch. The characters all have distinctive voices, but it's not like they try to give specific speech patterns that are very complex to each character. It's very easy to read and very easy to go through. Don't have to mentally switch modes between, this character's talking, so you gotta figure out how their sentences are structured. No problems there. The reality and believability overall, very consistent. This is a nice twist on Tezuka's kind of Astro Boy world. Again, a little more realistic and a little more grown up, so to speak. And that's not a dig against Tezuka. He was drawing Astro Boy for little kids. and so it was more bouncy, and he was just kind of throwing things at it. This is more carefully constructed, which helps us essentially an 8-volume one-shot. The atmosphere overall rather dark, rather brooding. This is a psychological thriller story, so almost horror in the way that this thing is coming after these robots and just destroying them. And when you consider that the 7 most powerful robots in the world, and something is just trashing them. So that is quite scary. The robot designs are quite interesting. Let me see if I can throw some images up on here of the robot designs. Some of the robot designs are very Tezuka, some are not, especially the more realistic characters. And that'll become more important in Volume 2 when I go and review that. So overall, I mean, if you're interested in a more adult, more serious kind of manga, something that's telling a more thrillerish type of story with well-realized characters, and it really starts to go anywhere, and that has the advantage that it's not 35 or 40 volumes long, it's only 8, give Pluto a try. And heck, it's only $13 street.